Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new series where I'm going to teach you how to use Illustrator, and this is for complete and utter noobs, where you've just opened it and you just look at it and you think, oh my god, what do I do? What are all these things? Some of you would have come over possibly from Photoshop and then you've like, oh, you know what, let me learn Illustrator as well. Illustrator is completely different. Well, some bits are the same because they're all under Adobe, but there is a very, very, very big difference between why Illustrator is so much better for actually illustrating and Photoshop is very good for photo manipulation. Illustrator draws much better, and there's a really good reason why. I'll give you an example. Say, for example, well, the main thing is that with Illustrator, you are drawing vectors. So when you draw a square, for example, it doesn't matter how large you make it, it never, ever pixelates or goes, you know, into lots of tiny little boxes and cubes. It's completely pin sharp. Say, for example, with this one that I did for my last speed art, actually, this is for Bugalonia. If you look at it, I know when you'll see the different layers popping up, but if you look at it, zoom right in, and you will see there is no loss of quality whatsoever. Every tiny little all of these pin sharp. Or for example, this one, I'll use this, which I did for Paddock 3000, one of his thumbnails. I'm showing you this one because it's more of a cartoon style. For example, there is no loss whatsoever of clarity. The reason why this is, let me just zoom back out again, is because there's a big difference between what is a vector and what is a bitmap or a raster file. Not as in raster man, dem Babylon and ting, but raster, R-A-S-T-E-R, meaning that the picture's made up of lots of different little squares, whereas this, I'll show you this one for example. I don't know if you can see, let me try and zoom it in a bit more. Over here, these are called anchors, and what happens is with vectors, these anchors mark the outside of a shape and the rest gets filled in. So in other words, the bigger you make the shape, so I won't zoom in, I'll just make the shape bigger. The bigger you make the shape, you don't lose clarity in any way because of the whole principle that it works between the space between the points. It just stretches according to how much you expand it. So a vector, you can design it to fit on a postage stamp, and it can stretch all the way to a sign you could see from the moon, and it will not lose clarity. And this is the reason why I absolutely adore Illustrator, and I have no idea why so many of you don't use it. Hopefully, if you've watched some of these videos, it might encourage you to move into the vector side, which is so much more exciting. What to expect? What I'm planning to do is to do all these into tiny, tiny little episodes. So I'll show you little things like how to make basic shapes, you know, things like shadows and this one. How to use, for example, with this guy's kilt, how to use a clipping mask. All these I'll explain as I go along. How to make textures that are, they look bloody awesome. I really love using textures. How to use textures effectively, how to use blurs, you know, all that sort of thing, drop shadows and all those lovely, lovely things. But I will start from the very, 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 very beginning, and hopefully you'll be able to learn it in a much easier way. A lot of tutorials seem to use, they just sort of like jump ahead and forget that you've got to actually start from square one. So that's what I'm planning to do with this series. So tune into the next episode, and I will be starting from the little teeny things of what's the difference between the black arrow and the white arrow, and so on. We'll go through all these little tools, and I'll show you all about setting up your desktop and everything like that. Until then, bye! Thank you for watching. Peace and love.